Hey guys, welcome back as always. My name is Laser, and today for shits and giggles, we're going to be comparing the latest Prime secondary weapon, the A Furious Prime, versus the old Best Furious. That's going to be the Dex Furious that you can only get once a year during the Warframe yearly celebration. Now, these have advantages and disadvantages. The main advantage to the Dex Furious is the fact that this one you get for free. All you gotta do is basically be around the anniversary of Warframe and you're gonna be getting this one. Not only the weapon, but a whole bunch of other weapons as well. More importantly, you get this one with an Auto King Catalyst installed. This is not a big deal for a veteran that already has basically everything he needs and tons upon tons of resources, but a new player starting the game, obviously this is gonna be a pretty big deal having that catalyst installed, and of course the weapon slot as well. I remember, I think it was 2017 when I got this one, and it was a huge boost in power for me. Now that's the Dex Furious, and we're going to be using the exact same build for both for obvious reasons. And the other Furious, the A Furious Prime, look at this one. Beautiful, absolutely sensationally beautiful weapon. Love the design on this one, as I do love most of the Prime weapons. And now we're going to have a quick stat comparison between the two. Accuracy doesn't really matter all that much because this is the type of weapon, if you're going to be using it, you're going to be using it 10 to 50 meters. At that point, the accuracy becomes mostly irrelevant to a certain extent. Obviously, more bullets in the head and less in the walls will mean better performance out of the weapon. It's a DPS increase that you can't really quantify because it's highly subjective because of the player using it, the skill factor, if you will. Ammo maximum is going to be the same, ammo pickup is going to be the same. The fire rate is going to be higher on the Dex Furious, weirdly enough, 20 versus 12.5, as well as the magazine is higher on the Dex Furious than the A Furious. You're looking at 100 versus 20. But the reload is a whole lot better on the A Furious, 1.2 instead of 2 seconds. The critical chance better again on the Prime variant, 16%, and we also got more status chance and more damage, a lot more damage as well. While the damage layout, the IPS is pretty much the same, the actual pump, it's bigger on the A Furious Prime. There's one key difference that puts one weapon over the other here, which is not showcased. And this is mostly the main point of the hashtag video, the Riven Disposition. Now, if I'm going to be looking at this Riven, the A Furious Krita Insiata, I think this is a Riven I had for actual years. There we go, so we can look directly at the Riven. It's gonna fit in the Dex Furious, and it's gonna be fitting in the A Furious Prime and in the normal A Furious as well. You see the huge difference in stats. Riven Disposition 5 for the Dex Furious, Riven Disposition of 1 for the A Furious Prime. A while ago, Digital Extremes introduced the following rule. Any new weapon coming to the game will have Riven Disposition of 1, the starting Riven Disposition, so it's easier for them to balance out weapons. This is because in the past you had cases where weapons would come out and they would be grossly overpowered, simply because Prime variants would pick up the Riven Disposition of their normal counterparts. One such episode was the Tiburon Prime, 2018 was it, guys? Tiburon Prime came out with Bird Prime and with the Tomfaz Prime. And back then, the normal Tiburon, nobody played with that because it was a very weak weapon. The Tiburon Prime, however, revolutionized the way you use your assault rifles back then. Yes, it's now a little bit obsolete, but that's not important. What is important, it came out and it was the strongest primary weapon in the game, and it also had a Riven Disposition of a full 5 out of 5. And that's how quote-unquote OP weapons were born back then. Digital Extremes came in and said, yay! Came in 2 years later, actually, or 3 years later? 2 years later, I don't know. And said, Riven Disposition of 1 out of 5 on everything that's new. And while that may work for niche cases and rare cases, such as the Tiburon Prime, when you're talking about most weapons, that doesn't really work out so well. In this case, it essentially gimped the A Furious Prime, making it weaker overall than the Dex Furious Prime, as we will demonstrate. So you see, that's a bit of a bummer, dear developer. Latest Prime weapon to come out. I'm a player. I bust my ass to try and farm it. I'm happy I got it. I crafted it. I'm ready to go. And then I find out and see that it's weaker than the normal counterpart, which is why this Riven Disposition of 1 on everything that's new is not exactly ideal. From my humble point of view, even though this obviously means more work, these need to be judged on a case-by-case basis. In the case of the A Furious Prime, this puppy should have had at least a 4 out of 5. Now, we're going to be doing the test first with the Dex Furious and then with the A Furious Prime, yes? When it comes to the Warframe buffs we're going to be using for the time being, I'm just going to be showcasing with absolutely nada. So growing power won't affect. Our Keen Avenger would only affect if the targets will be shooting at me, but I'm going to be using paused targets. Okay, level 165, we're going to have Corrupted Heavy Gunners, which are the benchmark. And we're also going to be using some Exo Gog stat by popular demand. You guys like your Gog stat, don't you? Gonna go straight for secondaries and straight for headshots, starting off with the weaker targets with less EHP, the Corrupted Heavy Guns, level 165. And as you can see, the Dex Furious, what is that, a quarter of its magazine? Yeah, something like that. No, like 33% of its magazine, or a quarter, 26 bullets. Essentially can knock out a Corrupted Heavy Gun 165 with no problem whatsoever. Granted, straight up headshots. Now let's go for the GOG stat so we can see a little bit of a difference. Keep in mind, this is a galvanized setup as you saw earlier. Yes, the setups are the same, so you're gonna need a couple of kills in order to get to full power and all whatnot. But normally the Dex Furious just needs like 20 bullets to take out a high level target, something of the sort. Now the builds I'm gonna be showcasing are the ones that take advantage of the weapon stats. These are flat damage builds. They do not scale very well into high level. And by high level, I don't mean level 150s to 100. By high level, I mean in the thousands. In case you want to do level cap, I would recommend you take a weapon that scales a whole lot better. Look at the cards right now. So I do believe you are convinced of the performance of this weapon, the Dex Furious, and now we're gonna switch on over to the Furious Prime. Beautiful weapon, I love it. But unfortunately, the performance is a little bit behind. This one, I'm kind of giving away the video, yeah? The point of the video was never to showcase the difference necessarily but between these weapons. The actual goal is to send the message that, hey, dear Digital Extremes, come on, what are we doing? What are you doing with this? You're gimping out the latest prime weapons. They need a higher Riven disposition if you're going to be talking about more weaker weapons such as this one. Obviously, Riven disposition of 1 out of 5 on everything that's new does not work. Essentially, they're using a sledgehammer to kill a fly, which is definitely not ideal. We're going to repeat the test as before. Go for headshots. I'm assuming you can already see a slight difference in performance. Please stand still so I get as many bullets as I can in your head. Keep in mind, again, galvanized setup. You need a couple of kills to get it to full swing, yes? There we go. Now the weapon is in full swing, and now we're gonna go for the GOG stat. There you go. Now, of course, shooting standing still targets is pretty easy, but when it comes to actual steel path gameplay, you're gonna see the same results as long as you go for straight up headshots. Obviously, body shots will be a different kettle of fish. Have a look. Simply because you're not getting the bonus headshot multiplier, you're not getting the location-based multiplier, and if you don't know what those are, still in Warframe, link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on critical chance, critical damage. Essentially, it's a bit more kooky than you might think. And I do believe, my friends, that is pretty much it. Again, I honestly believe that we need case-by-case judgment when it comes to brand new weapons, especially when it comes to brand new prime weapons, because from a player's perspective, it simply sucks to farm out their brand new prime weapon just to find out that it's weaker than its normal counterpart. You somehow feel you've been had, even though, obviously, that shouldn't be the case. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Is this an issue? Is this something that bothers you? Do you believe that developers should do something about this or not? As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!